Welcome everyone. Today we are going on a World of Warcraft safari in the most beloved zone, Grizzly Hills. I freaking love Grizzly Hills, so I'm really excited. Let's go on a safari together.
In the long span of WoW's history, there are dozens and dozens of zones players have explored, from volcanic mountains to otherworldly swamps and fiery hellscapes. But there's one particular zone that is brought up time and time again for being one of the best zones in all of WoW because of just how cozy, relaxing, and beautiful it really is.
The quests are fun
Today, we are going to be covering that zone and talk about all the interesting lore and tidbits you may have missed. But first, traveling all the way over to the Grizzly Hills is expensive. So here's a quick word from today's sponsor. Battlegrounds. Pet battles. Dungeons. Raids. Shadow Legends! Look, I know you. Next 30 days only. Thank you, Raid, for sponsoring this video. On with your regularly scheduled content.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, the music there is also really nice. Like, it's just so relaxing, just like this guy here. That's literally me in front of the computer when I'm questing through Grizzly Hills and grinding up on alt. I have this same face. I'm like, this is so relaxing. I love questing. You know, seriously, it is such a good background music.
Welcome to Grizzly Hills. If you ask any WoW player what their favorite zone in WoW is, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna say this zone.
Yes.
Because Grizzly Hills is the coziest zone
poop quest was
in
funny.
all of Azeroth.
Excellent!
One of the factions you'll find within the trees are called the Trappers. These hunting humans have lived in Grizzly Hills long before the Horde and the Alliance ever arrived to fight in the war against the Lich King.
Like
when they exactly arrived here is unknown. And they're huge, like 7 to 8 feet tall. And yes, I know Blizzard likes to increase the size of NPCs, but like all of these humans are super tall. Anyways, recently, the Trappers have been dealing with a new, dangerous threat that has infiltrated their villages. A cabal has been spreading across the forest of Grizzly Hills called the Wolf Cult. In fact, there are rumors of people willingly accepting the Worgen curse because it would be a better fate than becoming a mindless zombie of the Scourge.
I mean, that's true. Like, one thing I never understood about the undead, like the Forsaken, like, even like Sylvanas, when she was still a war chief and everything, like when she was like raising fallen humans and they basically have like their free will, right? Why did they immediately join the Horde? Why didn't they just escape and run back to the Alliance or something like that? There is something, like, I'm sometimes thinking there is something about being raised from the dead that in a way kind of like enslaves you or something, so you have to obey. Or also, I sometimes like really think that, because I know the Forsaken are being rejected by the humans, but if someone is like freshly raised and they're somewhere in like Horde territory, why are they immediately obeying the Forsaken? This is something I never understood.
Through a series of quests, players
just
later
like Silverpine
find out
Forest,
that
they're
this leader
also
of the cult is none other than Archmage Arugal, the same mage that spread the Worgen curse at Shadowfang Keep. He was killed back then, but was later resurrected by the Lich King's Council of Sandlane to fight once again. But we kill him again on the Blood Moon Isle, where he is residing atop of a stone tower that has the exact same architecture as his fortress back in Silverpine Forest.
What the heck?
The centerpiece for the Grizzly Hills is a
humongous
hollowed-out stump named Vordrasil, which has an extensive history. Long ago, the druid Fandral Staghelm took a bunch of branches from the World Tree of Nordrasil and planted them all over the world. He went to Ashenvale, Fairless, Hinterlands, Duskwood, and Crystal Song Forest.
Yeah, they are literally
and all of these were considered great trees. And the one in Grizzly Hills was so big, it was considered a world tree, and was named Andrasil, meaning crown of snow. The goal of this tree was to help stop the spread of serenite within the area, a powerful ore that was
How did it get
literally the blood
destroyed?
of the old god Yogg-Saron. But since Androssil was not blessed by the aspects like Nordrassil was, it
But one thing I don't get it. So this was all grown from branches, right? So if the branch can grow a tree, why does a tree with leaves, like a normal like leaves tree, turn into one with like freaking, like how did we get a freaking pine tree out of this? Wait, Nordrassil was not a pine tree. Huh? Can you even like create other species from just taking freaking branches? That is so weird. Makes no sense. And by the way, guys, if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. Yo, this I really is like mind blowing, right? Like how you can get a different type of tree by just cloning it.
the old god Yogg-Saron. But since Androssil was not blessed by the aspects like Nordrassil
Like, look
was,
at this.
it
That's
was
not a pine
susceptible to old god corruption. Oops. Maybe you should have thought about that before you planted it, huh?
Yeah. Oh no.
So the Cenarian druids, they chopped it down to stop the spread of corruption, but the damage was already done. Yogg-Saron had already used the tree to breach into the Emerald Dream and would eventually manifest the Emerald Nightmare within this new realm. The stump of the tree was renamed to Vordrassil, meaning Broken Crown.
Broken Crown.
And when we find it in Wrath of the Lich King, these dumbass furbolgs thought it was a good idea to make an entire village within a dangerously
It looks
corrupted dead
nice.
tree.
I wish
And
it was
now
even
they all went
bigger.
insane and they're trying to kill each other. Even worse, they managed to resurrect the wild god Ursoc using the powers of Vordrassil and corrupted him in the process. And oh boy, you know what? Let's just go over Ursoc's lore real quick because it is
He's
hilariously
interesting.
tragic. Okay, so Ursoc fights in the War of the Ancients and is killed by demons. Now, there are 3 realms a wild god like Ursoc can go to. Our normal reality, Ardenweald, which is the place where all nature spirits go when they die, and the Emerald Dream, which is the life realm where they,
If I'm not mistaken, if I got the lore right, if you are going to the Emerald Dream, you can be reborn in the real world again, right? But if you go to Ardenweald, it's like your ultimate destiny. Like you can no longer come back. Like that's something I think I've read somewhere, right? Because there were like beings that after they died, they came to the Emerald Dream, and it was possible for them to resurrect in the real world. But can you actually escape Ardenweald and come back to the real world, or you're really bound to it? Because during the quest line in like Shadowlands, if you're doing like the quest at Ardenweald, it is said also with Gisera that she's now bound to Ardenweald, and like they can no longer return, right? But if you're in the Emerald Dream, you can somehow return to the real world. Yo, this lore is like always like mind-blowing. Like, I'm so confused about this with like the different spheres, right? Because some let you return to the real world and some don't let you return, or something weird.
is the life realm where they,
Like Blizzard needs to
do
explain
life
us
stuff.
further.
I don't know, it's
how
very
it-
vague.
How it
Point
works,
is,
yeah.
you think Ursoc would go to the nature death realm when he died, but that hadn't been written yet, so he goes to the Emerald Dream. Then he
And
gets
gets
pulled out of the
reborn.
dream and resurrected by furbolgs, and then he dies again. He still does not go to Ardenweald because it hasn't been written yet, and he goes to the Emerald Dream again, where he gets corrupted again in the Emerald Nightmare raid, and we kill him again. Now Ardenweald has been written into the lore, and his spirit goes there, but they're going through a drought, and the Winter Queen goes,
R.I.P.
Wow,
was the wrong
this
choice.
bear fucking sucks.
and has his essence used to restore all of the other seeds, meaning Ursoc dies again in the death
Forever
realm, meaning
now.
that he is now super, super dead. And I just
And this is actually what really sucks, because Ursoc, I if you die in the Shadowlands, from what I've read and heard, you're gone forever, right? Like same with Arthas, he was crafted into a sword, and the sword was being destroyed because we as players, we are doing the final raid, we destroy everything, right? So Ursoc, Arthas, and like they're like gone forever. It's like kind of like their soul doesn't exist anymore, right? So it was like a miscalculation for him to go to Ardenweald. If he would have gone to the Emerald Dream, he could have been reborn. I feel like if you're like a nature spirit, you should never go to Ardenweald. You should just always go to the Emerald Dream, because you can have infinite rebirth. It's kind of like us players. We die, we walk with our ghost from the graveyard to wherever we died, and we resurrect, right? So if I was a nature spirit in World of Warcraft, I would always permanently resurrect in the Emerald Dream because I have like some sort of cooldown or something. I can come back to life, right? But Ardenweald is kind of like your last life, right? Like you have just one, you have no more resurrection, anything is over if you die there. Yeah, I think they really made this so confusing because afterlife wise, it seems like the Emerald Dream is superior to Ardenweald because in the Emerald Dream, you can return to life, but in Ardenweald you can't, right? Like, it's so weird, right? It's kind of like you have the afterlife for some that is like better than the other real afterlife. It's weird.
Meaning that he is now super, super dead. And I just want to know who at Blizzard
And
hates
he's a
Ursoc
cool
so much
character.
because he is the most punished character in
Yeah,
all of the Warcraft
died 4
universe
times.
for literally no reason whatsoever. And you know what? I think we need a palate cleanser after that depressing story. So, look over here at the Westfall Brigade. This is a platoon of soldiers from the People's Militia in Westfall. It's even led by Grain Stoutmantle, that guy that stands in front of the tower in Sentinel Hill. And there's also
Oh.
these freakishly large children. Okay, maybe we need to go somewhere
Maybe
else.
they're hybrids, like half
Look over
giants.
here at the Amberpine Lodge.
Oh,
this is one
that's
of
a
the
fun
coziest
quest.
locations in the
Toilet
zone
quest.
where you can relax at. And there's even a quest over here where you get to enjoy some delicious amber seeds.
They have a
and
dark
after you
secret.
eat them, you go over here and...
That's the best one. I had to laugh so hard when I did this the first time. It was so funny.
Okay, well, maybe we can just move on real quick to, okay, here we go. Nothing
quest.
is more cozy
Who came up
than
with that in
deforestation.
Blizzard?
Here at Blue Sky Logging Camp. Here we can listen to the relaxing ambient sounds of trees being cut down. And this area is a big PvP zone where you'll never actually find anyone because nobody actually does world PvP in 2022.
Yeah,
But
unfortunately.
the real reason why we're here is because of the best feature in all.
That's actually what I miss a lot in like modern WoW, like the old school world PvP. Like I remember back in the day when like World of Warcraft launched and like TBC era, where like people were literally raiding freaking capital cities of other factions and stuff. Like I remember when I was like on the Horde side, we were like freaking attacking Stormwind and stuff. It was just so funny. Or going to Ironforge. Like there was just so much cool stuff you could do with like world PvP, and you had like even guilds versus guilds where like 20, 30 plus fought at a time against other 20, 30 plus, and it was all like open world. It was so freaking cool. And then you sometimes had you accidentally put like hostile NPCs to you and stuff. They were of course usually weak if you went to that zone. You were already maxed, but it was really, really fun. I remember good old days.
In all of Grizzly Hills. No, the best feature in all of World of Warcraft. Travel up these stairs, talk to this dwarf, and you can
Wait.
take an exhilarating
Oh,
log
this
ride
minigame,
all
yeah.
the way down the Grizzly Hills Rapids. Watch as you
This is so fun.
gracefully move through these rapids at an exhilarating speed. The log ride of your life will end in Venture Bay, another PvP area that will 99% of the time be incredibly empty.
Oh yeah, this is the region controlled by the Horde.
Here in Conquest Hold, the Horde are establishing a foothold in the Grizzly Hills. The commander of this platoon is named Conqueror Krenna, who is always flanked on either side by her pretty boy Blood Elf bodyguards. But many don't know that Conqueror Krenna has an extensive history. In the short story Heart of War, it follows Garrosh Hellscream when he first arrives in Orgrimmar. In one of the sections of the story, Garrosh runs into Krenna and her sister Gorgona. Krenna talks about how she isn't impressed by Garrosh's lineage since his father, Grom Hellscream, was the first one to drink demon blood and doom the Orcish race.
What I wish with Grom Hellscream, like the alternate universe Grom Hellscream, that he freaking somehow survived this thing when you recruit the mecha and he somehow returns. Like, I know he's like crazy old, but I just think he's such a cool character. I wish they would have somehow brought him back. Or even as a Death Knight. Like, imagine they bring either Saurfang or Grom Hellscream back as our Death Knight. That would be possible, right? Wouldn't it? Like, couldn't we bring Saurfang or Grommash Hellscream back as like a Death Knight? It would be cool to still have them around, at least one of them.
Hellscream was the first one
Some of
to
my
drink
favorite
demon
orcs.
blood and doom the orcish race. And now look at them. They're in a crappy desert with no resources, they have to constantly import supplies, and they're surrounded on all sides by enemies.
Yeah, Draenor was
Quite
better.
frankly, the Horde sucks, Grom sucked, and Thrall sucks. Garrosh responds by saying,
I'm gonna beat your traitorous ass.
but Gorgona intervened, explaining the reasoning for the orcs living in the desert to atone for their sins, since they killed a bunch of innocents in their demon blood-fueled rage and blah 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 blah, who cares. After mulling over the interaction, Garrosh would later come to the conclusion that perhaps Krenna was right. The Horde may in fact be led by an idiot who doesn't care for the well-being of his people. Garrosh would later 1v1 Thrall, but that is a story for another time. Back
He
to
lost,
Krenna.
right?
In the Conquest Hold, there is a long quest chain where you help her and the other soldiers in the barracks. Throughout this quest chain, Krenna is a cold, brutal leader who deals out extreme punishments to those that don't follow her direct orders. For example, she wanted to break the leg of a hide trader for not having enough hide. She orders her sister, Gorgona, to do it, but she just lightly kicks his leg instead. Krenna later catches on that her sister is not following her exact orders,
Because
and they
she
have
wants
a
to be
duel to
good.
the death in the arena of the Hold. And I'd just like to add that I find it hilarious that the Horde felt like they absolutely needed an arena when establishing a base for absolutely
That's
no
weird.
reason. The duel ends with Gorgonzola winning, and she becomes the new commander of the fortress. But she killed the pretty boy Blood Elves in the duel.
Oh no, now she's single. But I'm actually a little bit not surprised she won, because Sheila has like the younger looking skin, right? So she's probably like more fit, right? More athletic, like she can do more moves because she's younger. Like, yeah, she's like maybe experienced like her older sister, but yeah, I think physique also matters in combat, right? Oh, I remember this
In the
quest line
northern
here.
reaches of the hills, Drakari trolls from Zuldrak are fleeing from their homelands and spreading across the zone.
I wish they
The
would have
hunting
become an
party
allied
located
race,
in Granite
Drakari.
Springs is wanting to put a stop to it because they hate trolls. You may remember this group from TBC where they hang out in front of Zulaman. The leader of this band of misfits is named Bud Neckred. The final quest he gives you in Zulaman is to obtain the blood of Zuljin after his defeat. When handed the blood, Bud will toss it into the fire, which enrages the troll spirits, and they sweep him up and throw him into the fire as well.
Oh,
When we find him again in Wrath, he has gone utterly insane and is convinced that he is now a troll.
what?
You go on a quest with him where he thinks he's playing tag with his fellow trolls, but in reality, he's just sneaking up on them and whacking them over the head with a frying pan. Bud and his band of adventurers would later come back in the Cataclysm expansion, but Bud's troll illusions seemed to be a phase, but his insanity wasn't.
Ooh, shiny.
What the heck did he do?
Another interesting character in the Granite Springs camp is the imprisoned Drakari
Draku.
troll named Drak.
Oh, if you see him, do the quest line for him. This is such a cool quest line. It was really fun. Like, if you talk to him, it leads to a quest line of like multiple quests where you have to go from place to place. And this was actually has also some interesting story. I don't want to spoil it, but if you ever come across Drakuru, please do his quest line. You're not gonna regret it. It's an interesting one. So if you're like leveling an alt in retail, or you are now in Wrath of the Lich King Classic, do his quest line. It's really good.
Kuru. He takes
I
you on a
liked it.
long quest chain that
Yeah.
starts with him proposing a truce to the player, and he will offer them knowledge about the Drakari trolls. Both Drakuru and the player character cut their hands with a knife and give each other a firm handshake. Then
Yeah,
you go and do some
blood
quests,
brothers.
and then you go to the Draktheron Keep dungeon, where at the end of the dungeon, Drakuru betrays you and teams up with the Lich King. Oh my god, and then you do nothing about it, and then you leave the dungeon. And the later part of this story is in Zuldrak, so we won't be covering that in this video. Just kidding, we are! The player character then disguises themselves as a member of the Scourge and betrays the betrayer. And in the Troll's final moments, he summons the Lich King to defeat the player character, but instead, he just cuts Drakuru's head clean off.
I spare your insignificant life as a reward for this amusing betrayal. There may yet be a shred of potential in you. warned. When next we meet, I shall require much more to justify your life.
It's actually cool how like Arthur's always had an interest in us as a player, and he wanted us to always be his kind of like champion or something. Like even like if you're doing like Ice Crown Citadel, like what he says at the end is interesting.
And that is all there really is to talk about relating to the zone of Grizzly Hills. Yes,
if there was player housing, I
parts
would
of the
love to
zone
live
I didn't
here.
talk about, but that's for a very important reason.
Wait a second, isn't this the runes with the Indiana Jones guy? Yeah, you have to free this Indiana Jones guy, looking guy. He's okay. Guys, do the quest yourself, but this is also a very interesting quest line.
For other parts of the zone
there's
I
someone
didn't talk about,
interesting
but
trapped
that's
in
for
here.
a very important reason. They're boring.
No, not all of them. Yeah, toilet one. Let me give this one a thumbs up. It was really interesting. Like, I love the way like Platinum WoW edits his videos. It's so funny. But yeah, like there's so much nostalgia there. I think for like the questing, like the best experiences in Wrath of the Lich King I actually had there. And not only because the toilet quest is funny, but it was also cool with like the Jokari quest chain. It was very, very fun. And I also liked this one with the trappers. It was also quite interesting. Especially like this mask guy. Like, what is his name again? Bat or something? Bad Bat. He's like very, very funny. How he freaking smashes the heads of trolls and stuff. Like, yeah, there's like a lot of potential there. What I also hope, and there's like this one zone in Dragonflight that looks a bit like Grizzly Hills. And I'm like wondering how I will feel questing through this zone. Maybe I'm also going to have like a positive impression experience there. But yeah, what is your favorite zone in World of Warcraft? Let me know in the comment section. For me, it's probably also Grizzly Hills. I really love Grizzly Hills. I find also Dun Morok to be pretty interesting, but I've already mentioned that quite a couple of times. And Loch Modan. I think Grizzly Hills, Dun Morok, Loch Modan, those are like my top 3 zones maybe. But in Draenor, I also really like Nagrand. I think Nagrand, I also have to give Nagrand credit in Warlords of Draenor. I think this one is also, yeah, those are like my top 4. But yeah guys, if you are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this one a thumbs up. I wish everyone a wonderful day. I will see you guys next time.